For the week ending May 27th, 2011, this is the Travel Today weekly wrap-up.
Around this time last year, agents were getting their head around an Icelandic volcano with an unpronounceable name and unexpected consequences for the travel industry. Luckily, when this year's Icelandic volcano struck, not only was its name the relatively simple Grímsvötn, but the travel industry
Much better equipped to deal with it than last time. US President Barack Obama pushed his flight from Ireland to the UK forward by 12 hours to avoid the ash cloud, but lesser folk were less afraid. British Airways, KLM and Icelandair all cancelled flights, as did EasyJet and Scottish Regional Airlines. But Ryanair even flew its planes right into the ash cloud just to prove the point that last year's flight bans were unnecessary. European air safety authorities also had much better contingency plans this time around, allowing aircraft to fly through the ash cloud as long as they had more checks afterwards. Thousands of passengers were stranded, but by the end of the week most had reached their destinations as airports across Northern Europe reopened. Another cloud was much in evidence this week, the land of the Long White Cloud, or Aotearoa. Queenstown hosted the Tourism Rendezvous New Zealand, or TRENZ. It's the first time the Kiwi trade show has moved outside the metros of Auckland, Christchurch and Rotorua. New Zealand takes its tourism industry seriously. Prime Minister John Key is also its tourism minister. It also takes Aussie tourism seriously, as we account for the bulk of its visitors. But this might change. Travel Today editor Steve Jones, reporting from Queenstown all week, spoke to Tourism New Zealand Chief Executive Tim Bowler, who said the country was now looking at Asia as its traditional markets continue to fall away. Spending on the Aussie market is likely to stay the same, however, at 99 million New Zealand dollars, or 80 million Australian. One area of tourism New Zealand is particularly worried about is the Rugby World Cup. Event organisers admit that they face a challenge to hit targets for revenue and ticket sales following the Christchurch earthquake. Another destination recently struck by an awful disaster is Japan. In a ski roadshow this week, the Japan National Tourism Organisation was at pains to stress that the country's top winter sports destination, Hokkaido Island, is almost 500 kilometres away from the Fukushima nuclear plant. The devastating earthquake, tsunami and resulting nuclear incident had been overplayed by the media, Japan's Consul General told Travel Today. In other news, airports in Brisbane and the Gold Coast scooped gongs at the World Airport Awards. Hong Kong won Best Overall prize, followed by Singapore and Seoul Incheon. And the newly renamed Virgin Australia launched transcontinental flights from Sydney to Perth using a brand new Airbus A330.
Looking ahead, a stoush between Qantas pilots and the Flying Kangaroo now seems inevitable, after the Australian International Pilots Association voted this week to start industrial action over job terms and offshoring.
Travel technology giant Travelport is also set for an interesting few weeks as it sets out its views in the court case between it and American Airlines. Meanwhile, rival Amadeus has signed what it claims is a landmark deal with rail wholesaler Rail Plus to bring UK trains into the GDS for what it claims is the first time. This has been Justin Wassington, Sydney for Travel Today Weekly Wrap-Up.